Hello, world. Hello, hello. Welcome, everyone. And let me know in the chat if you can see me and hear me. I am so excited today to be with you all. And if you're watching this on the recording, lovely to have you as well. Lovely to have you on my channel. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any of the amazing content that I put out. Great to see you today. Yes, wonderful to see you as well. I am just so excited for today's topic. I have so many ideas and so much good information and inspiration and wisdom to share with you on this topic today of how to secure your family's legacy and your family's future by turning your business around. So, what I've noticed recently, and I've noticed for a while in my work with my clients, working with business owners, and coming from a business family, that a lot of entrepreneurs, so a lot of entrepreneurs and business owners are frustrated, especially in their initial years in being in business, because they just keep making losses and can't even get to breaking even. It's just, they feel like they keep having to put money in the business month after month just to keep it alive. And it just feels like they're just throwing away money every month. And also they have to keep working harder. So they're working harder, they're stressed, they have to put money in the business every month with no end in sight. And it's just basically they end up getting burned out and they end up having to quit, basically. So the other part is that when a business is in stress like that, it also affects the family members of the owner, and it really can affect the entire legacy of your family and the sense of security that the family feels. So this is a very common phenomenon, and a lot of new entrepreneurs need to know that this can happen. And what to do about it if you're already in this situation, and if you know are just starting new and you have questions. Well, there are things you can do to prevent it from happening. But so if you're just tired of making losses in your business and you are ready to turn your business around and harmonize your family with it, then today's topic and this video is for you. So stay tuned and make sure that you like the video, make sure you're subscribed to the channel, and without further ado, let's dive in. So I have all my notes on my other screen here, so I'm going to just look over quickly and make sure I cover every point with you. So the first step in turning your business around, if you are in that situation, is to make a decision. If you have been in a business where it's just making losses after losses, there can be several reasons, but the first step that you can take is to actually make a decision that this year gets to be the year that you finally break even and turn your business around for good. So, as I always say, a decision is literally like if you have two different directions you could go, or three, or however many. When you decide to go with this one, you actually cut off the other options. You literally, like, all the other options die, and the only one that you chose remains. And that's the only direction that you decided that you're going to go and you're going to take your business in. And the whole, like what I see all the time with entrepreneurs and business owners who are in this situation, they're being wishy-washy. They're constantly worried about their business and the losses and the debt that's accumulating because they are having to maybe borrow money to put into the business. And so the debt, and they're just constantly worrying and hustling and stressing and like burning out. All of that, if you are doing any of that, all of that is not going to help you turn the business around. There, I said it. And what that tells me is that you haven't decided. You haven't made a clear decision. And what you need to do first is make a clear decision. Decide that this year gets to be the year that you turn your business around. And that is the only option left. All the other wishy-washiness, the worrying, the doubting, all of that stops here and does not get to go forward with you. The only thing that goes forward with you is your absolute firm decision that this year gets to be the year you turn your business around. And that clarity and a clear decision creates this as your most important goal for this year. Create this as a goal that now you can take action towards. So I had a client, there was this company that had been around for 20 years, and the business owner was frustrated. When I got hired, they hired me to basically help turn this business around. It had been making losses for the past 12 years in a row. It had made profit before that, but it had made losses for the last decade, over a decade. And it had all this debt accumulated, it just kept borrowing money to put into the business to keep it alive another year, hoping that the next year would be different, hoping the market would change, hoping, wishing, being wishy-washy, constantly worrying and stressing out, and then worrying about the losses and the debt. And all of that was not serving this client. So this company, when I came in, the first thing we did was start with, all right, we're going to make a decision that this year gets to be the year that you turn your business around. And we're setting a goal, a clear goal, that the business this year on December 31st, at the end of the calendar year, is going to book at least $1 in profit. Why $1 in profit? Basically, we set a goal that we're going to break even. So the income from the business is going to be equal or greater than the expenses. Therefore, there would be a net break even, means it would be equal, but $1 profit means obviously means it broke even and there's $1 more. So we're just we broke even and crossed that threshold over to the profitable stage. Notice that we did not set a goal of suddenly $5 million or $100,000 even of profit when this business has been in losses cycle for over a decade. Because it takes a lot just to turn that cycle around to get to break even. So we said at least $1 in profit. That seemed more realistic, that could be achieved. And this turned into the most important goal that we set for this company to truly align all of their actions towards. And this was a firm decision that we made with my leadership, with the entire executive team, along with the business owner himself. So that is the absolute first step. If you haven't made a clear decision, set a clear goal for yourself with your team in your business, you need to do that first. You need to do that now. Anything else you do is not going to work unless you have made a firm decision. Now, after you have made that decision, and let me know in the chat if you are with me on the first step. Let me know what you are hearing from what I just shared as what needs to be the first step in turning your business around. And then I'll move on to the second step. So once you have made a firm decision, now you can start to align your actions and your team's actions. I'm with you. The first step is to make the decision to turn the business around. Yes, absolutely. Now that you've made a decision, you and your team start to live into that reality, that possibility even turning into reality for you in this year. Notice there is a firm time frame. It is a very clear and specific goal. It is measurable. We said $1, at least $1 in profit, very easily measurable. It is actionable and realistic. So and relevant to the current situation and realistic once we define the actions. So now we align our actions to that decision. The actions that we need to take are often around looking at all of the expenses the business currently has. A lot of times what business owners are doing and are wired to do is to try to grow their income, try to increase their revenue so that the business can break even. And it is absolutely important to grow the revenue and the income for the business. However, it takes time for revenue growth and income growth to happen. Even if there are some activities you're doing for marketing or sales, it takes time for those to really come to fruition. So it can take time for the income, the revenue to grow to the level that you need it to grow. And another thing is that a lot of times it actually takes an increase in expenses, which I'm going to talk about the 4 categories of expenses in a moment here. It sometimes actually takes increasing expenses so that you can sustain a higher income, higher revenue. And so it becomes this chicken and egg thing. It's like, in order to break even, if you need to increase the income, well, if you need to increase a certain expenses, like hire more people or do more sales activity or whatever, do more advertising, well, now it's going to increase the expenses too. So it's like, well, I want to increase the income, but then that like requires me to increase the expenses, but I'm already making a loss, so I don't want to increase the expense. So then, that doesn't contribute to raising the revenue. And so I just kind of like in this endless loop of basically nothing, right? You're not able to take any action, and you're just in this constant dilemma of what to do. And that was exactly what was going on with the client that hired me that I mentioned, who we set the goal of $1 profit, at least $1 in profit, by the end of that year, right? That's exactly what the situation was there. Kelly says, it feels counterintuitive to take on more expenses when wanting to break even. Like if then will be more of a hurdle. Any advice on how to overcome that fear? Yeah. And so that's why instead of first focusing on trying to increase the income, we actually need to look at streamlining the expenses first, because streamlining the expenses first can then propel the income growth in a sustainable way. So the way that so that takes me to the 4 categories of expenses. So I have an article on my website that we can put a link to. Can my team put a link in the chat here and a link in the comments of this event? We will put a link to that article so you can read the entire thing. But basically, it explains that that not every expense in a business is created equal. If you think of business expenses as just like a blanket, like expenses, and usually expenses are thought of as bad, like income is thought of as good, and expenses are thought of as bad. And so you always want to increase your income and want to reduce expenses, which overall it does make sense, but in this situation, we have to go deeper into this understanding. So instead of trying to work harder to increase income first, we need to take a step and back and look at the expenses and really understand which one of these 4 categories of expenses do all of the expenses you currently have in your business really fall into. And the 4 categories are, as explained in the article that you can refer to. The first category is destructive expenses. These are actually expenses that you want to eliminate ASAP. These are expenses that are actually destroying your business right now. They are like weeds growing in your garden that are like eating up all of the resources that, the beautiful flowers and the plants you want to actually grow in your garden. So these are expenses like destructive, like there are customer complaints or any kind of quality issues or any bank fees that are like late fees or just any kind of expenses that are destructive. Literally, they are destroying your business. And then you are having to pay for these things. You need to first take a moment to identify the destructive expenses. And even like sometimes they're just drains, like you're paying for a subscription that you didn't even know you were paying for still. Like, where did that come from? Like, unless you really look for them, these are sometimes hidden from your normal view, especially when you're so stressed out. So identifying the destructive expenses and eliminating those ASAP is going to actually put money back into your business and stop the leakage and drainage of money and energy right away. And that comes straight down to your bottom line. Second one, the second category of expenses are actually protective expenses. These are expenses that you need to have in your business to protect it in case of something unexpected happens. So, for example, insurance. You want to have certain insurances, certain licenses that are just compliance requirements. If you don't have those, then that you're putting a lot of your business and yourself to at a lot of risk. These are really necessary for risk management. The thing you want to do with these is you cannot completely eliminate them. If you don't have proper insurances or the licenses for your business, that can actually cost you a lot of money when something unexpected happens. So you want to make sure you have enough of the protective coverage, and you want to minimize the amount of cost for those for the risk management. So you want to eliminate the destructive expenses, and you want to minimize the protective expenses and make sure that you have the correct protection and risk management in place. Next, after that, you want to identify the third category of expenses, which is maintenance expenses. These are expenses that are needed for the proper operation of your business day to day. This can be salary for your staff, team members. It could be salary you pay to yourself. If you are paying that, if you aren't, that's a category that needs to be added here. And any other regular supplies you need, whatever you need to cater to your customers or your clients in a sustainable way with good quality of products or services. So these are expenses that must be maintained. These are not expenses to be eliminated or minimized, but managed wisely. If you're overpaying on the protective expenses or the maintenance expenses, you need to really look at those and renegotiate the amount that you're paying on those. And as soon as you streamline, you cut out the destructive expenses, streamline and minimize the protective expenses, and manage really wisely the maintenance expenses, that brings actual hard cash, like dollars, down straight to your bottom line. You would be surprised how much you can affect your bottom line just from doing this right here. And this is, after this is where the fourth category comes in. The fourth category is actually the most important out of the four, but you need to address the first three before you can really properly address the fourth one. The fourth category is called productive expenses. This is the category that we can also call reinvestment into your business or into yourself. These are the dollars for where every dollar that you spend in the productive expenses category, like $2 come back to the business. $10, like 10 times more wealth comes back to the business in terms of either savings in these other categories or in terms of actual income growth. And so productive expenses are anything that will help you grow further as an individual, as a team, and in the business, in a business revenue. So these are any marketing activities, sales activities that actually contribute to generating a higher income. Any coaching or mentorship that you invest in, any masterminds that you join, any support system that helps you keep your head straight, stay in healthy accountability, and provides you guidance to reduce your trial and error and increase your chances of success with everything else that you're doing. This is the safest way to really do business, is to have this right support system and guidance through a coach, a mentor, a mastermind, a guide that has experience with the challenges that you are facing or your next level is going to bring to you. So now that I've covered the four categories of expenses, this step where you align your actions to the decision you made to turn your business around in this year with that clear goal that you set, the actions that you take in regards to these four categories of expenses are going to directly contribute to your bottom line and start to help you grow your income in a most sustainable, long-lasting way. Anyone can have a profit one year and then have some losses and then have a profit one year and then go back into the losses pattern if you don't address the expenses in the way that I mentioned, especially if you don't pay attention to the category number 4, which is the productive expenses category. And that's the category of expenses that you want to strategically actually increase very wisely over time. Consistently increase the productive expenses so that every dollar you spend in that category brings you back 10 times more in income and savings over the next few years, several years, even decades of your business and your family's legacy that you're creating through it, because it consistently brings growth to your business year over year. And now you have a consistently profitable business instead of being in that cycle of making losses over and over and then getting burned out and quitting. So let me know in the chat if this answers your question about how to overcome the fear of the whole like expense and break even and all of that. And yeah, let me know if you're still with me. So yes, this definitely helps. Good. Okay, so next there are so the next thing I want to talk make sure to convey to you is that while you have made the decision and you're taking actions towards your decision, your goal, it's also important to maintain faith that any life lessons that are designed to come to you through your business are going to come through no matter what. No matter what you do, those lessons are meant to come to you because they're here to serve you and help you for the long term. And so for your long-term success, the lessons that are here, they are going to come. So there's no point like trying to avoid the lessons and avoid any challenges that come up in this process. In fact, it would serve you the best if you actually are aware of this and embrace those challenges as life lessons and move through them quickly with the acceptance of the challenges and life lessons that come through when they do. And the best way that you can expedite that process for yourself is by getting the right guidance. So whether it's through books, whether it's through videos like this, whether it's through courses, whether it's through coaching programs, a mentor, a guide, a mastermind group, whatever works for you, but creating that sustainable support system and that accountability, but in a firm way and also in a way that actually makes that process enjoyable for you, I dare I say. Really taking action to gift yourself that that help that you need in this process is absolutely key to truly allow and embrace those life lessons that are going to come and let them come and be integrated in your system energetically and in your mind and business with ease and grace versus all of the struggle that you have already been through and you're tired of. Life is too short for you to live your life in misery and create this business that is has the potential to turn into a family legacy, into this whole miserable thing that's stressing you and your family out. Like life is just too short for you to settle. And so having the faith that the right help is here and available for you and reaching out for the help when you need it is the act of faith and taking the action from faith and sticking to your goal of turning your business around this year. So with that, the next step is to look at your pricing. So if you're selling a product or a service or multiple products or services, the price that you are selling at, and then the cost of whatever it takes to source that product or provide that service, those numbers, looking at both of those numbers objectively is extremely important in this process. If your price that you're selling at right now is lower than the cost of acquiring, the goods or delivering the service, you can see that you're already upside down here, where there's a gross loss here. That is a big thing that we need to fix right away. So either you need to raise your price that you're selling the product or service at, so that it's higher than the cost of acquiring, sourcing the product or delivering the service, or you need to reduce the cost to a level where now it's lower than the price you've been selling it at, and the price minus the cost needs to be a positive number, which is called the gross margin in accounting. So whether you're familiar with gross margin, the terminology, or not, just look at, what am I selling my product or service for? How much does it cost me to acquire that and deliver it? And is this number higher than this number? If it's not, you need to either raise this number or lower this number. Or if you can do both, that's even better. Raise the price, lower the cost, and now you have a greater gross profit margin. That is extremely important to look at when you need to turn your business around. The only other thing I could say here is, if your price you're selling at is lower than the cost, and if you cannot think of any way to raise the price or lower the cost where it can be this way, then you're going to need to stop selling this product. Because what's happening is, every time you sell it for, let's say, $10, but it costs you $20 to produce and deliver it. You're losing $10 every single time you sell it. So it makes no sense to sell a product at a lower price than what it costs you. And so you might even have to look at certain products or services that you may need to cut out of your business. You may just need to stop selling them, stop offering them, until you can either raise your price by adding something else on there, and then also economize your cost of delivery. So it's called cost of goods sold in accounting. So this is really important, an important aspect to look at as well. And let me know if you understand this concept of gross profit margin. Now, with all of this, now that you've looked at the gross profit margin, you've looked at the expenses, the fixed and variable expenses that are through the 4 categories of expenses, and you have started focusing on increasing the productive expenses category step by step strategically, that starts to bring in more of the income while minimizing the other costs and expenses, you should start to see your business turning around. You should start to see the losses reducing and the profits, the margin increasing, and your business starting to get closer to your goal. Again, the firm decision you make and actions you take towards it are the key to success here. This gross profit margin concept is clear to me. Good. Yes. So now we're going to also address another factor that can totally sabotage all of your actions that we just discussed if you don't address this part too. And this is actually your relationships, especially your relationships, not only within the business, but with your family. So what happened, so in my client's example, the story I was telling, so this client had been in loss every year for over a decade. And so what we did is, first thing, we made a clear decision, set a goal for at least $1 in profit by the end of that year. And then we started looking at all of the expenses, and we categorized all the expenses in the 4 categories. And then we eliminated the destructive expenses, minimized the protective expenses, made sure all the risks were covered, and then managed very wisely and streamlined the maintenance expenses. And then we started to increase the productive expenses step by step. Once we did that, we also looked at the cost. They'd already hired me as their coach and a mentor and a guide. So they'd already covered that base there. They'd hired the help they needed because they had tried this for over a decade and it wasn't working. So about time to get some help with this. And so they had faith that this was possible, and they hired the right help for it. And then we looked at the products and services and the gross margin and made sure that the prices they were selling their products at were higher than the cost of getting the products. So, and then they started to raise the prices a little bit where they could reduce the cost as much as possible and increase that profit margin. There was a lot of negotiation with their customers that came into the picture for raising prices certain places where they felt like it was needed. And that's what we worked on together too. There was a lot of fear that came up around negotiating higher prices, like price increases with customers, because there was fear of losing customers. So if you have those fears too, I can totally relate. And those are things we worked with together on. Those are nuances that we have to work more, like we have to work on it on a case by case basis. So we worked on that together, and they were able to get price increases, which was really good for the business. And then after all of those things, the other thing that was draining the business was actually the relationships. There was a lot of stress, tension, and strain in the relationships within the businesses, the team, and the family of the business owner. Also, there were some people in the family of this business owner, his wife and his kids, who were hearing about all the stress in the business, and it was affecting the family in a negative manner, but they weren't really bringing their strengths and contributing to the business to help it turn around, because the business owner had almost tried to keep his family away because he wanted to protect them from the business and the stress of the business. The thing is, there were certain strengths that, like, his wife had, his kids had, that could have helped the business, that the business owner himself didn't have. So he wasn't able to tackle certain things that actually, if he brought in the strength from his wife and his kids, it would have actually helped the business tackle those challenges in a much better way. So when I worked with this business owner, we looked at the family members who were more than willing to help because they were already feeling the stress and they wanted to help turn this around. So they and you will notice that when we turn the relationships and family dynamics around as well, family members can become the most loyal and the most like valuable and dependable team members in your business, actually, like better than anybody else you could hire from like outside. So we definitely hired other team members from outside as well for this business later. But first thing we did was look at their family members who were getting impacted negatively, who actually had some strengths to contribute to the business and wanted to help out. And of course, we made sure they were compensated well as well. So it was a win-win and a great positive energy exchange, equal energy exchange, and a positive effect for everyone overall. But once we started to get these family members and other team members to start to turn around the the relationship dynamics and start to contribute their strengths into the business to help it turn around, because we all as a team had one single goal and a focus of the greater than $1 in profit this year, everything started to shift. The negative spiral that this business had been on started to slow down and turn around into this positive upward spiral of harmony in the relationships, in the family, and a culture of celebrating wins so we could celebrate more wins. Every time something good happened, we took an action and we did something productive, we would celebrate the win, and we created that celebration into the culture of the team. And that started to take the business in the upward spiral now. And it started to reduce the losses to the point where we basically got the business to break even. The income was equal to the expenses. And then what ended up happening is this business ended up making a profit of $100,000 at the end of that year, on December 31st of that year, that calendar year, booked a profit for the first time in over a decade of $100,000. This was a 7-figure business. And we not only achieved, but exceeded the goal of at least $1 in profit. And so that is a success story and a real life example of a real business that had family members involved as well, that was in this situation, and it was completely turned around. So these are the exact steps we followed. There's more one-on-one and case-by-case work that we did. And so now with that, so in summary, how you can do this is, first, make a firm decision that this year gets to be that year where you turn your business around and create the family security, sense of security for your family, and the family legacy that you always wanted to create when you probably started this business. And after making a firm decision, align your actions towards that clear decision and that direction. And then bring on the right support system, the team members, and the resources that you need at every stage as you move forward to achieve that goal. So with that, and I'll kind of talk through a lot here. I'm just checking my notes. Yes, and also it's very important to engage your family members, whether they want to engage directly or just help you indirectly, but create a level of synergy in your team and in your family so that that energy can contribute positively towards your business and create harmonious relationships for a long-lasting business success. Yes, please, BG. Can I ask you something? Yes, please go ahead. Let me know if there are any questions. put them in the chat. And if you're watching on the recording, feel free to put any questions in the comments and I will get back to you there. And I have, again, put the link to the 4 categories of expenses article in the chat here. And we'll put it in the comments as well so you can get it from there and review it. And if you want to talk more or need more one-on-one support or personalized advice on your particular situation, then I have some spots on my calendar where I can get on a one-on-one video call with you, and we can look at your particular situation in your business and how strategically this whole turnaround plan can work. So feel free to just email my team at team@avadhi.guru. The emails should be also in the description of this video, and we'll put it in the comments as well. Email my team and just we will, just say that you'd like to get on a call with me and discuss your particular business situation. And my team will send a scheduling link to get you scheduled on my calendar. All right. I don't see a question come through yet. If you wanted to ask me a question, put it in the chat and let me know. But let's see. I'll put it. I'm going to put email team at the for scheduling a time for your one-on-one call. Let's see. Yep. So with that is the topic for today. And again, if you like this content and if you found it valuable, give this video a like, share it with anyone that you feel this would help and resonate with, and I will see you in my next video. Have a wonderful rest of your day, everyone. Bye-bye.